Good rising, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. I am Tayla Andre. Waking up with Tayla Andre has absolutely nothing to do with the time of day we link up, but about waking up your third eye with unorthodox conversations leading to universal consciousness. I am more than excited. So first and foremost, today is my 38th solar return. And so it is my birthday today. And I get to come in studio and celebrate with one of my favorite, actually, she is my favorite Instagram influencer and has been my number one Instagram influencer for over 7 years. And so it might be going on 10. It might be going on a decade. So when I first was introduced to AKAnundrum, she was over here dropping gems about what's going on with your food, what's going on with your government, everything that was taking place in the world, aka conspiracy theorists. But everything she posted was fact. You don't believe me? Go check the facts. And everything came with receipts. And I loved the energy. I was automatically attracted. Brought her on air. We went ahead and discussed your dissertation, actually.
No, it was not my dissertation, but it was research that I did on internalized racism. And so, yeah, that was, and we discussed it on beauty, like the whole concept of that. And I think we did a small amount about like how it affects us in business, maybe just a little bit of that.
And this is 7 years ago, and she remembered that. That was 7 years ago.
Because it was my very first radio interview. So that was huge for me. I mean, back then I was so shocked when you reached out. I was like, this lady wants to talk to me, so that was huge. And you're a part of my history, very, very first radio interview ever. So thank you for that.
And thank you for continuously dropping gems. And so I remember the day you posted and you're like, I've been posting all of this stuff and it perpetuates our trauma, it perpetuates our pain. I'm no longer posting this. And what I'm going to do is give back in a way that nobody has done before. And because of that work, you were featured in Forbes. Your following has tripled, quadrupled. And I cannot imagine how many successful entrepreneurs you've created. And do you have those? I know you probably don't have the metrics because you post everything and the amount. So I did a little digging for the amount of information she posts on a monthly basis. You'd be paying a consultant $10,000 a month. And this is This is absolute free knowledge, free game from the very beginning of how to get an EIN number all the way to taking you up and scaling you up and having you at Walmart Marketplace. And so we could spend a whole hour on the things she has done. We will not. You can go to the website and shop AKAnundrum, and there is a huge collection from work at home, social media marketing, Facebook ads and marketing, email list and building your marketing list, how to produce an online course, all about marketing, being fulfilled by Amazon. Like the list goes on and on and on for all of the things that she has created for you to just basically drag and drop and just follow the steps, rewind if you need to. It's like having a professor that will answer all of your questions because you can go ahead and purchase time with her to walk through the questions. And so what you do is remarkable. Why? Like nobody else is doing it. Why would you give away free game?
Wow. Okay. So I literally created the page that I needed. So when I started my journey as an entrepreneur, there's a lot that you don't know. And so I'm an avid researcher. That's one of the things that I love to do. I love to learn. I love to research. And so one of the things that I decided to do was I wanted to create literally the page that I needed for myself when I first started my journey. Right. And so you disappeared. Are you still there? Just want to make sure.
I'm here. I just wanted to.
Okay, because the screen went away. Okay, I just want to make sure. Like, wait a minute, did she leave? So what I did was I said, okay, When I started the journey, what I noticed was a lot of the information is not sequential. So you'll be asked to do things. For example, you may fill out one application and it'll be something like your EIN. And of course, if you're filling that part of the application out, you haven't started your business. But at the same token, the bank will be asking you for a business phone number. And you're like, well, how would I have an established business phone number? And I haven't started my business yet, right? So I just noticed there was a lot of things out of order. At the time, I was taking classes at UCLA for marketing, and I was just learning so much. And one of the things that I understood collectively as our pain point as a group is that, we are just really starting to enter the market in terms of commerce. For the longest, we were the commerce. We were the currency of America. We were on the market. We were not a part of the market. And so largely, most of us come from families who have indoctrinated us with the concept of get a good job, get an education. We don't really come from a structure that says start out on your own as an entrepreneur, especially an entrepreneur where it's an idea that you're probably largely creating for the first time or a new concept. We've been just kind of drilled into security, getting a secure job, a secure this, a secure that. And so because of that, we lack a lot of the information that is passed down in some of these other families because they have heritage companies, they have legacy businesses, and that doesn't just come with the financial resources, that also comes with the intellectual resources. So there's conversations in their homes that they're having that are normal. I mean, if we want to really quantify it, we have to realize that in 1865, Rockefeller was legalizing and formulating Standard Oil as a company. He was incorporating Standard Oil in 1865. You know where we were. So the man who went on to become one of the richest men in America, or some would even say to this day, I think his net worth would be about $600 billion today. He was creating that company structure. We were still in bondage. So when you look at a person like JP Morgan, around that same era, that same time, he's learning to manually count $1 million because his father is in international finance. And you know who JP Morgan became, right? Morgan Chase and the bank and the industry. He's doing that and talking about ROI and those kinds of terminology we were not even allowed to read. So what I saw is that the information gap is what largely puts us at a disadvantage. And as much as I got information, I wanted to help fulfill that adequacy in us. And I felt that if we don't have the resources, we don't have the capital always inject, but if we can at least a foundation of knowledge in these things, then the sky's the limit to where we can go. And so I just know how I felt, how inadequate I felt. I know that not having that information, I doubted myself so much. I had these great ideas, but I just didn't feel like I was informed enough or educated enough to pursue these things. And so when I did start to fill in those areas of inadequacy for me, I wanted to do the same as much as possible for someone else.
So one of the things that we are seeing right now is information being removed. And so I've seen you personally post about this. I've seen some of our other influencers post about this, about information that is being posted, that is being taken down, that's being deleted, that isn't being shared in the ways in which it should be shared. But, somebody being shot down in the street is free game for everyone to see. What are one of the ways or some of the ways that you've been able to trick the algorithm to get you in front of as many people as you've been able to reach?
Well, it's understanding the algorithm, but more so understanding the business, understanding the company. Where we find ourselves very confused or frustrated or disenfranchised is when we only look at things from the mindset of the consumer and we don't look at it from the mindset of the business owner. I remember when I was working, right? We all start the journey. So you're an employee. And you may look at the prices of whatever it is that the owner is selling. you might feel like the prices are a little high or whatever. So someone comes in the store and you're like, girl, just take it. I'll give you a discount. Don't worry about it. I'll hook you up. Nothing, right? You feel like, look, I'm hardly making anything. This person's got to be rich. They making all this money or whatever. And then you move up and you become manager. And as a manager, you may start to become privy to things like the profit and loss statement. You may start to see things like the bills and the vendor fees and the rent and the things and the cost that is associated with doing business. So you would look at that price a little bit differently, right? You then start to say, hey, you can't just be giving away merchandise. You can't just, and then once you become an owner, you really look at it very differently. So it's the perspectives. So I understand Instagram and Facebook as a company. I understand their goal. And so I understand my position in this. I am a content creator. Instagram and all of these social media houses, they're just facilitators. Where they get their money is data, and they get the data from the traffic. So me as a content curator, my job is to bring traffic to the site. That's my job. And in exchange, I'm allowed to self-promote. I'm allowed to sell. Instagram, I've made 6 figures plus on Instagram, and they've never asked me for a dime. And, I don't run ads or anything like that. So we have to think about that. A lot of times we kind of get in our feelings, and I'm saying, okay, so this is my relationship with Instagram. So what will jeopardize Instagram's bottom line? What puts Instagram at risk? What does Instagram not want to be associated with or a part of? Once I understood that, those are the things that I carefully stopped posting because, one, it's their platform, it's their house, right? We're here for free. They're never going to let you pay because then you would have rights. So I understand that I have no rights, that Instagram is a complete and utter privilege for me. And if I'm wise, I will utilize that platform. I don't live there. I use it as a Las Vegas residency. I have an app. I have AKAnundrum. I built my own app, my own platform. And so what I do is I utilize Instagram and Facebook just like they use me. And I drive and I direct traffic to my app, to my platform, where then I do have free reign to speak or do whatever it is that I want to do. So it's just about not stepping on their toes, if that makes sense. But you just have to understand, what is largely your goal? A lot of people I know, and I've been on there since 2012, and they say, well, I want to teach the masses. I want to communicate. I said, okay. Well, if you want to do that, why keep violating the rules that's going to shrink your audience, that is going to then disconnect you from your audience? You're not reaching the goal. So you did do this post and everyone heard it, but in the long term. So if you've been there for a long time, right? How many of the people we've known for all these years, Tayla, that are not there anymore? And my page has never been deleted, because I understood my role and I understood the bottom line. Does that mean that I agree with it? No. Does it mean that I respect it? No. But it means that I have to understand it and act within it until I can build up and do better for myself.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Because a lot of us operate differently. I took some things for that as well, because you put it in a different perspective and to understand it from the business owner's point of view versus me, the consumer. I'm mad at this thing that you won't let me do.
Right. And so, just like your radio show, you get a host on, you know what I mean? And you're like, sweetie, I appreciate what you're doing, but it's not in alignment with what we have to do in the FCC and whoever we have to abide by, right? So unfortunately, then it feels constrained for that individual, but we're looking at the larger picture, because without the platform, there's nothing. We have no voice at the bottom line.
So this is y'all have questions, drop them in the chat. I'm utilizing today for my own selfish reasons. Okay. So as far as utilizing these platforms and reaching your masses, let's say, as far as marketing is concerned, you have a full-time job, but on top of having a full-time job, marketing and social media is a complete full-time job. How do you find that balance between the content creation and actually pushing the content out? Because social media is a whole job. That's why people get paid upwards 6 figures to do it. As an entrepreneur, How do you advise all of us out here that are like sitting at our 9 to 5 while also trying to push our side hustle?
Well, this is going to sound so cliche, but the truth of it is this, because I've had several. I've been on social media since, I'm going to date myself, since Black Planet, since Windows 97, since AOL 4.0. So I've been on all of them as powerhouses. I've seen them come, I've seen them go, I've participated, I've done quite well on all of them. And I've done I have different agendas on different ones, different points in my life. And really what it boils down to is it's such a flooded market that you almost have to do something absurd or ridiculous just to stand out. And most of us are not willing to do that, or we don't want to do that, because we do understand the short-term value in that. We understand, right, what that we've seen it enough to see when people resort to antics and gimmicks and, for that quick boost. So the only thing that counters that is consistency. And the only way to be consistent is to actually talk about what you like. It's to really post or create content that doesn't feel like work to you. And I've had both. I've had a page where it was largely just for business. And so I would actually have to create and curate the content and then post the content. It really felt like business. And so it was, trying to be extra professional on the business page, like, hello, welcome to my page. And so, but I wasn't being me. I wasn't talking. I wasn't having the very fired up and invigorating conversations and spirited conversations that I usually have on my personal page. So I would find myself kind of like moonlighting or cheating, right? So I'm on the business page. But then it's like, okay, I've done my work for the day. I've done my 3 posts minimum or whatever. Let me now sneak over to my other page. And that's where I'm at. And if you know anything about anything, where you are is what's going to grow. So you have to create where you want to be. So for me, I created the community that I wanted. I created the content that attracts the tribe and has the dialogue and the conversations that I want to have, regardless of what that is. And so it's no effort for me. Now it's more like I go to sleep, I wake up, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to tell them this. I can't wait to talk about this. I can't wait to talk about that. When you start having those conversations, you become someone people know. You become something that they like. And then if you're doing it responsibly and you're doing it well, you become someone that they trust. When you do that, you've earned the right to sell. And a lot of us don't take that approach to it. Largely we just create a product and then try to push it onto an audience. And if you don't have the revenue to do all of that marketing, and you can't get in front of people's faces 7 or 33 times, they say now, and permeate their psyche that way, you have to enter their minds and their hearts. And that is what real conversation and real dialogue shows people. One, you know what you're talking about, because you're using that opportunity to express that and use that. So then you also demonstrate that you care. And when you do that, people are there. They're there for that, and it just makes it so much easier. Now, I have days that I have days that I'm just like, I have some 10 carousel slides. I'm like, oh God, I don't have time to make this. Or I don't have time to do this. And there's a lot of research for it. On those days, I encourage people to do another thing. Repost someone else that is relevant to your page. Give them credit. It's an awesome way to network. It frees you up. Just get a repost that, post that, repost that, right? Save some of your content that's fire and go back through your analytics and see, like, okay, last year this was a great post, this worked. Repurpose that content, right? Ask questions on days that you don't feel like holding the mic all the time. So literally post something and ask a question of your audience and let them actually have engaging dialogue. Those are just things that you can do when you just don't have it. And don't allow yourself to get too burnt into this algorithm. Lately, I'm seeing people who are, teaching, but they are posting more about posting than they're posting. You know what I mean? Like most of them posts are like, you gotta post 5 times a day. You gotta post 3 times a day. You gotta post 4 times a day. It's just like post, post, post. Because what we're doing is the algorithm is not a thinking creature like we are. It is just looking at numbers. So the algorithm is speaking to you like a computer would for what Instagram's goal is, traffic. So the algorithm's like, post 3 times a day, post 4 times a day. But that's not how human interaction works. I really don't want you talking to me or emailing me 4 and 5 times a day. I just don't. But we find ourselves chasing the numbers. So we're like, I got to do it because the algorithm and everyone says I got to post 4 or 5. Now you've burnt your audience out. You've burnt through your content and your conversation. So you're actually having the opposite effect. And then what happens? Your numbers go down, and then you're getting back into that, oh, I got to jump into that 16, 20, 80 posts a day algorithm. No, add value. And let people miss you sometimes. Sometimes I post once a day. Sometimes I'll go 2 or 3 days. I'm not crazy. I'm not going to go 2-3 weeks without posting. But sometimes I'll go 1 or 2 days and let people miss you and see you. If you add value every time you show up, they'll look for you. They'll actually turn their notification on for you. They'll actually look for your content, or when they see you, they're like, let me go to her. I know she has something about you. So that's really what I do in terms of the marketing. All the tactics, like, and the algorithm gets used to it. Every time we come up with a trick, the algorithm gets used to it because the scammers do it and the spammers do it. So, you know what I mean? We're always chasing behind.
So you are a mom and you are a wife and you have a family.
Yes.
For the entrepreneurs that have families, I've noticed of my curator friends, it's always like, I have to do this thing. I have to do this thing. I'll spend time with my family after this thing gets me to where I want to be. How do you find the balance of being, known to the world? And we all love you. I mentioned one of my cousins called me today and I was just like, I'm going to work because today I get to interview AKAnundrum. And they were just like, are you serious? Oh my God. Like, everybody knows you, even if they don't know you. And so how do you give so much of yourself to us and still find that balance of being the amazing mom and wife? And I only know you're amazing because your husband boasts about you on a regular basis.
Thank you. Really, there is sacrifice. I have no real social life. I'm an introvert, extrovert, or whatever people want to call it. I'm an only child, right? So for me, it works perfect because this is my social life. I've been able to merge a social life with the business life at the same time. Other than that, in terms of balance, there is no balance. There's no balance for me. And then the people that I talk to, there's no balance for them. The people who are real and that are honest about it, there's no balance for them. What do I mean by that? Full transparency. I haven't done laundry in 6 months. I buy clothes, underwear, socks, and bras, like literally. Then I just paid my daughter, this is a little extortionist, to do my laundry for me, finally. Right? Uber Eats feeds me. Well, I like to look at it as if I have like an array of personal chefs that, provide my meals. It just depends on your perspective, right? Some people, they have whatever it is that they have to do that takes priority. But I am home. My children are home. We've always been kind of like really homebodies. We go out and do what we do, but I'm here and I'm accessible for them all the time. When they absolutely, need me, like I'd stop and drop everything. But for my children, they're involved in what I do. My husband's involved in what I do. So it's not as disconnected. My husband, he's working from home. He has a very demanding job that he does. So it's not as if it's a toll, right? Believe it or not, like I binge watch the hell out of me and my daughter, like Netflix. We have our shows. And some nights, that's the beauty of it, is I've made money where I'm like, I ain't doing nothing tonight. We just about to watch Queen of the South, about to catch up Handmaid's Tale. Me and my husband, we have our shows. Me and my youngest daughter, she's like, okay, we watched Harry Potter, like, third or fourth time, and watch all of them, whatever. But that's really kind of like, that's our thing that we do. I know that may not be for everyone. Other people may have their thing. But I don't stress myself about trying to find this perfect balance. That perfect balance doesn't exist when you're trying to do what we're doing, when you're executing at this volume, especially when you don't have a team, when you don't have, it's you, and you are the every single aspect of your company. I think you would be remiss if you put that demand on yourself to do that and then turn around and do all other things and be all other things. At the core of it, what I understand is that this is what makes me happy and this is what makes me fulfilled. And that's what my husband cares about, this is what my children care about. And when I'm fulfilled and I'm happy, I'm way more amazing for them than I could be trying to be something that I'm not.
Thank you for that. You make me feel so much more human right now because I'm like, I ain't cooked, girl. I can't even tell you the last time I cooked.
Listen, I went in the kitchen. My daughter was like, "What you doing here?" Like, what's going on? Reminds you, I can. And there was one point in time where that was it. At one point in time when I shut off Instagram and I decided that I just wanted to do some me time when I left for like a year. That's all I did. I was at home cooking and we were watching HGT, so I'm a manic person. It's just like whatever I do, I'm just in that thing, but so there's no balance. Yeah.
Thank you. Because I want to say that at this point, the children completely know they expect it. Like the array of chefs, we could have whatever you want, any nationality.
My daughter is just, she has it on her phone. The 12, she's just ordering, oh, I'm gonna have waffles for breakfast. I'm gonna have, you know what I mean? She has grub, like she's that's affluence, you know what I mean? Versus when I grew up, it was like you go eat whatever's in there. Well, we cook. This baby got a whole array of like what she want to eat. No question, just go and order it. So
that's a beautiful thing. So one of the things that you did mention is team. And so I want to talk about teams, the importance of teams and process, because I think we sometimes forget that process is necessary and process is real and the way that it affects us if we don't have a process. So I want to talk a little bit more about your process and why having process is so important and how do you begin? How do you even start a process? When I remember like in the beginning of entrepreneurship, people were like, you have to have a process. I was like, I don't even know what that means. Like what is the simplistic way of understanding process and how to create one?
Well, my mind is really driven by logic and systems. That's just how my mind works. So I'm able to look at something and then assess what are unnecessary steps and how to, and that's part of managerial experience I've had, is when you have to teach someone a system, you understand why you need a process for that thing. As solopreneurs, we tend to do our business in a very organic pattern. So it's what we know, what we're used to, where our stuff is, the way it's stored, and that works for us until you try to pass that task on to someone else. And then it's like, okay, well, I want you to do this. All right. It's like, oh, well, we'll go there and then, oh, well, we'll log on to here. Well, okay. Well, no. See, I keep them all. Then you're like, oh my God. Right. And we often overanalyze process, but the vast majority of us have had jobs. And not just the mom and pop job. A lot of us have actually worked for franchises. And you go into a franchise, and the main thing they have is a handbook, and they have a very simplified procedure for you. This is what you do, step 1, step 2, step 3. And so that's why processes are important, is because one, people need to know exactly what it is that they're supposed to do. There is nothing worse than being charged with a task and you really have no idea what you're supposed to do, and then you don't do that correctly, and you're being reprimanded for not knowing what is in this person's imagination. It's not written down. One of the people who helps me the most is my daughter. My middle daughter, she's my oldest daughter, middle child, but she's a very black and white. You know, she had been a very black and white thinker as a child. Everything was just very logic. So with her, she's really one of those people, like, you have to show her the steps. And so that helped me personally, is understanding. So, you know, teaching someone who they need it laid out step by step. Those are critical. Those are critical to your business, because as your business expands and you onboard more people, these are the only ways that you're going to be able to grow. And I know that too, because I'm a very organic person. I had my system, the way files were. And it's not until I tried to explain that to someone else that I was like, oh God, I'm all over the place. You know, when you're just trying to give someone instructions for what you do. But yeah, it's very, very critical. And it's going to be the only way that you can scale your business, you know, as well.
As far as partnerships are concerned, what are like affiliation programs? I see that you threw that out, and that can be a form of team building, since it's you yourself and you have these other people working on your behalf, but not as employees. Let's talk about affiliation programs and why they're important, and how you can make money off of it, but B, also build your brand by doing so.
Yeah, I think affiliate programs are a great segue into employee, or to eventually securing employees, right? So the affiliate program, for a lot of people who don't know, I used to see affiliate programs, and to be honest with you, I thought they were pretty whack, because people were always promoting stuff that had nothing to do with their brand. It just looked like their website was littered with, you know, these arbitrary ads, you know, and it was like, you know, my affiliate link. So I never really got into affiliates or the understanding of them until recently. But I mean, I knew what they were, but you understand what I'm saying? I didn't really venture into them. So affiliate programs are a service that you can set up, and you will allow a person to resell a product of yours, or promote a product of yours, or sell it. You give them an individual customized link. And then there's a tracking system, typically a cookie, that will alert you when a sale is made, where that sale came from. And if you have a program, the program automates everything out. So as your affiliates are selling, it will tell you, you know, how much your affiliate sold, and then it will establish the set commission that you set forward. So affiliate programs, if you're going to use them, you have to strongly consider your profit margin. So what you're able to give to the affiliate, and, you know, still make a profit for yourself. The cool thing about affiliate programs is, one, unlike a traditional employee. So if you were to hire a VA or a CSR, that person makes money regardless if they make money for you, you know, or a traditional salesman, right? Unless it's pure commission based. But typically that person would be paid regardless of what they make. With the affiliates, they only get paid when they've actually made a sale. So it's a no-brainer, right? They made a sale. That's a sale you otherwise wouldn't have had. And then you split the commission with them. Now, most people, you'll get an affiliate link, and they'll say, hey, okay, you can join my affiliate program. They'll give you your link, and then off you go. And customer service is my strong suit. I teach customer service. I teach customer retention. I teach consumer psychology. So for me, I took a very different approach. I'm taking a very different approach to my affiliate program. One, I sell a digital product, so that gives me a hefty margin. I'm able to actually get 50, 60, 75, and 90% of sales to my affiliates. So we start off at everyone starts off at 50. So we split everything 50-50. That's one. I do that because that's going to intrinsically drive a person to sell. Who's going to really want to get out there and make sales if they're only making 10%, 20%, unless you have a big, huge ticket item. And if it is a big, huge ticket item, say it was $1,000 item, that's a hard sell. You know, it's not an easy thing to sell a $1,500, $2,000 product. So even if you were giving them $100, like that's still a hard sell. So my products are low, so I make sure that they get a hefty margin, easy to sell, and we split it 50-50. So that's already a motivator for them. Two, I had to understand their pain points. If you're coming to me to sell, you probably have a business already that you're focused on, and you just want to make some money on the side. You're not as dedicated to my product as I am, which means you're not going to spend a million hours making content for me. And, I want to make it as easy for you to sell. So I create content. My marketing content is always around a conversation. So it's not just, here's the product, buy it. There's a conversation I'm providing. There's a solution. Our product is the solution. So there's a conversation. It leads into the solution, and then it leads into the product that here is for you to solve. They can simply repost that because it's not just a product, it's great content, period. You know what I mean? Like, you could remove the product and my post is still going to be good content for their page. It's going to be a good conversation. So I think about them in that way, and I provide that. Secondly, I host Zooms with them, and I teach them sales strategies. I teach them why my content works. I encourage them to not sell products that are not in alignment with their audience and their brand. So if I sell business-oriented products and you are about vegan, don't push my business products onto your audience. Now I look gimmicky, you look gimmicky, you've turned your audience off. I actually go and source products that I ask them, what do you need for your audience? What would your audience like? And they told me. I provide those products. So not only are they able to, one, resell whatever I have, there's products that have them in mind. And then lastly, I also let them license or buy the license to those non-competitive products, which means instead of us splitting it 50-50, for $99, they can buy the license to my product and it's theirs forever into perpetuity. And regardless of what they sell, they never owe me a fee. They never owe me a royalty or a commission or anything. So if they buy that product right now, and they some kind of way went viral, had a fire sale, and they made $10,000 tomorrow, all of that money is theirs. So I empower them in a few different ways. Then we do strategy calls, and they're allowed to ask me questions about their business that have nothing to do with my business and help them grow in that. So we're actually not just, hey, here's my link, go sell it. Good luck with that. I'm going to give you the tools. I'm going to give you everything that I can to sell and overall benefit your business, period, with or without. So in that sense, I now have, I just started my affiliate program in March, and I have now 950 affiliates. My goal is 1,200, 1,250 by July 1st is my goal. So by the end of Q2, I want to have 1,250. By the end of Q4, I want to have 2,000. That will be 2,000 customer service reps, pretty much, for me, out selling products. And that's how I'm going to scale. And so if you're doing that, you're training, you have customer service, you have them in mind, that segues you over perfectly for a permanent CSR, or something like that, because now you've listened to people and you've learned a lot.
So I'm trying to learn everything right now. Like, how do we schedule time with you to help you analyze our individual? Is that something that you do as far as, hi, I'm a business, I need help, I see you have all of these business products, I have definitely utilized the services that you have on your website, purchased them, feel like I follow the steps, a couple things fell through the cracks, can we do it? You guys, I told you this is my birthday. I'm being 100% selfish today. How do we schedule time with you to figure out where did we go wrong?
Yeah, so for a while, I was asked to do coaching and consultation. And it's something that I take very seriously. I, for full transparency, and to be honest, there's a lot of people who are significantly underqualified that are selling themselves and their consultation There's no vetting process for it. And they're selling themselves and they really have no business. You have people who are fresh out of school. You have people who have not even really run a business that are selling consultation services. And I take it to heart because the most important thing to me is my audience's trust and my integrity. And I know how vulnerable people are and they look up to you. And if you give them advice and you're ill prepared to do that, they will take that and apply that to their business sometimes. And that can be disastrous. So personally, even though people saw that I had a bunch of knowledge, I think that doesn't mean that I'm fit to give you individual advice for your business. So I have spent a lot of time researching and learning and preparing myself. What I did was for a very long time, for over a year, I did business consultation for free in DMs. One of the things I pride myself on is if I don't know something, I will tell you I do not know. 9 out of 10, I'll be able to point you in the direction of someone who might or a resource. But I'm very honest. If I don't know something, I don't fake it. So I took hundreds of calls. I mean, I've literally done probably thousands of hours of DMs, phone calls, and then I took it to my app, and I was doing them for free. And I just started charging $99 for a strategy session. So I don't do coaching. I'm not the person who's going to be with you for the duration of your business. What I like to do, and my strong suit, is strategy. So you tell me what you're trying to do and why you're not able to do it. And I like to really figure out, or something's not working, and I like to provide you with a new direction and alternative way of thinking about what you're doing. And to be honest with you, and I'm not a bragger type of person, but I'm really good at it. Like really, really. Sometimes I sit back and I feel like it's not coming from me. I've created whole business on things that I've never thought of, but I love it because I'm a creative person and I like being challenged in that way. So I like this brand new person to come and I'm like, okay, what's going on? And then my brain just goes into strategy mode. And next thing you know, we're off the call. I'm like, wow, that was amazing. Like that was some real fire. And I only felt comfortable doing that when I knew that I could add value. So I do not burn myself out on anything. I've offered strategy calls and I usually do like 10 at a time. And every it's in November. I think the second time I just did them was like last month. And I'm about to do 10 more. And I'm going to challenge myself to try to do like one a day for maybe 2 weeks or something like that. But they're time intensive, they're labor intensive. So it's not something that I do very often. But if someone DMs me and asks me a question, I'll audio them real quick and give them some really quick advice. I still do that, to keep myself sharp. But yeah, when I do, I'll post it. And it goes yeah.
And then you post, like if somebody asks you a question, you'll take that time that you've invested in that person and then post it for other people that have the very similar question. And so I thank you, because with 165,000 followers, for you to be able to be in an inbox at all is amazing to me.
You know what and I mean, people probably ding me for this, but again, customer service is my thing. So yesterday, I had a sale, and I think there was about 267 orders. When you get, like in a very small duration of time. Now, for some people that may be nothing, but when you're just yourself and all of a sudden your phone is just like, so when you have a high target, you're going to get a lot of, oh no, I didn't add the thing and I didn't do this. And I have this app, Shopify Chat, and I like it because it lets you get the text. So if you go on my website and then you text in the text box, I get the text. So, it's like that little robot, right? That comes in like, hi, help. So the robot does answer. If I'm not there, it's a bot, right? But then if I get a ping. So it was so cool yesterday because I didn't have it on my app and my assistant usually does, but I did it. And people were like, oh yeah, my orders. And so I was like, okay, hold on just a second. And I'm talking to him. I'm like, okay, I got you. It's like, oh, it was like, wait a minute. And it was like, this a real person? I'm like, yeah, it's me. It's AKAnundrum. I was like, oh my God, like, wait, you're really on the little chat there. I'm like, yeah, hey, how you doing? And I love that. I love being in my DMs. People are shocked all the time. They're like, wait, you really answer your DMs? I'm like, yeah, I don't. Only my daughter has access to my account. I have a lot of people who have trusted me with very vulnerable, private information. So I don't, I love my assistant, I love my people, but that's just not something I give people access to. So if you ever DM me, it's me. My daughter will tell you like this is her daughter. I have nothing to hide from my child. She'll tell you like this is her daughter, this is Nalani or whatever, if it's a business question. But yeah, it's me. It's me in the comment section, it's me in the DMs, it's me half the time in the little chat box, it's me on the email, but I love that. That's the part. If I'm actually creating more automation so that I can spend more time with the people. That's what I enjoy.
So one of the things that they tell you though is like that's being in the weeds, and the CEO isn't supposed to be in the weeds. That's what you hire people for. And like this is what typical businesses tell you. And so you're really guiding us to do the opposite. Why?
Well, okay, let's think about it. Most businesses that you grow and you scale to a certain point, I understand that. But where we've seen the businesses that we know grow is they know their customer for real, right? The reason why I can sell products that move is because I'm listening, I'm there with my customer, I'm talking to them, I understand their pain points. As an entrepreneur, you have one job. That is to provide a solution. Okay, that's it. It does not, I don't care what your business is. You have provided a solution. Okay. Now that solution can come in the form of people having a problem that's via a want or a need. But at the end of the day, they had a problem. They wanted something or they need something, and you provide that thing. How can you know what people want if you haven't talked to them, if you don't really understand their needs? And that's how people get disconnected from their audience. And that's how you see businesses literally fumble the bag because the audience is like, no one asked you for this. We don't want that. And then you're like, are you guys listening to us? Because really, at the end of the day, it's a relationship. When you get a customer, you're courting them, right? You're like, hey, how are you? You putting your best foot forward, you're smoozing them, you're all there. Then you get them, and then they get the product, and then you have that little, thank you so much time. And then you go off to the next customer, and the customer's like, I'm still here. I mean, think about how many times you get a phone company, and then they're like, oh, you get a free phone if you're a new customer. And the old customer's like, well, what about us? Like once you got us, you just don't care anymore, right? So for me, I think that the only way you can stay up in touch, if you look at the hip hop legends who still make music, they have teenage children. They're still keeping their ear to the street. If you don't, you're disconnected from your audience. And so for me, yes, I like to bring my time up because I like hanging in my comment section. I like know what's going on. That's what I do. And if you look at most companies, they're trying to figure out now how to become more social. So we have social media. And most businesses jumped into social media and they focused on the media and not the social. So they gave you the pretty pictures and the curated stuff, but they didn't know the social aspects. They were just on Facebook like, hey, we're Wendys. You like Wendys was like, what are you doing here? Like Twitter's like, okay, Wendys. And then what did Wendys do? Wendys started looking at the culture of Twitter, primarily Black Twitter. When Wendys got in the weeds, Wendys dropped a mixtape. Wendys started dropping all these fire snapbacks and comebacks. And now what did it do for Wendys? Elevated Wendys' brand. But if Wendys didn't spend time in the weeds, Wendys would still be on Twitter. Oh, we're Wendys. Would you like a frosty freeze? And no one would be paying any attention to them. So the big
So
corporations,
give context for those that don't know, that aren't on Twitter, because there are many people that still aren't on Twitter.
okay. Wendy's has a fire. I think maybe it's about a team of maybe 10 comedians. But what they've done is they've taken Wendy's and they've given her a personality. They have personified the icon and the logo. So this little redhead girl now has personality on Twitter. And she mostly is like a little snazzy black girl, a little fiery black girl. So Wendy's is always now looking for beef and drama. So Wendy's will literally come at McDonald's head. If McDonald's say something, they be like, yeah, but y'all ain't got your freezer machine always broken, your ice cream machine. Like, they really are talking mad mess to Burger King. They dropped a diss tape, a mixtape. They dissed McDonald's, they dissed Burger King, and all of the young people, of course, like, oh my God, like Wendy's is wilding out, right? And that's the part where you have to have as a differentiator, because let's be real. I don't have the budget to be in your face all day long. I don't have the, for ads, right? I don't have the marketing dollars for these high CGI commercials and all of that. My only differentiator is me. And so I have to let you see me, right? Wendy's, they had to create a me for Wendy's because we need that to connect. So they needed to put the social aspect in social media. And I experienced it myself. I had a company where I was doing like everybody else. I'm more professional behind my professional page. And hi, how are you? And one day I was on that page, which I call my work clothes, right? So I had my work clothes on that account. And I was on the Real BB Judy's page. Judy, Miracle Drop Judy. I love her. She had a event, and the tickets were selling out really quickly. I was buying tickets to give away. So I bought 11 tickets. I'm on my phone, my laptop, my computer, and I'm buying tickets, and the tickets are going, and I'm telling people, like, I'll give you free tickets. I'm giving out tickets. So one girl got upset, and she's like, oh, that's where all the tickets are going. And she tagged Judy. And I'm like, you act like Judy going to be mad. Because I'm not reselling them for more money, but you're going to tag the Popo and tell on me because I'm buying the tickets or whatever. So she started going at me about the tickets, and I'm going at her. And then one girl was trying to get the tickets in New York, and I'm like, you getting a ticket and you ain't getting a ticket. And the next thing you know, me and this girl going at it. And I forgot I was in the work clothes. So I pretty much was AKAnundrum at this point. I forgot I was in Fist by Design. Next thing I know, I'm just I'm lighting her up. And then somebody said, oh, Fist by Design want all the smoke. And I was like, oh God, I'm in my work clothes. I was like, oh God. And people, I looked up, I had 35 followers, out of nowhere, because people relate to people. You know what I mean? And so you have to get away from that antiquated model. That antiquated model doesn't work anymore. If it did, they wouldn't be tapping into our culture. They wouldn't be utilizing our influences. They wouldn't be jacking our style and appropriating our culture. So we got to go with what's organic to us. You get what I'm saying? Now, no one's saying just act crazy, but you got to be you. You got to be you. Look at Super Set. You see what I'm saying? Like, I love her because Super is her, who she is, and she defies that stereotype that we thought, like, oh, you got to look like this or do this to have a multi-million-dollar company. She's not. You wouldn't have paid us to believe that Pepsi would have partnered with Cardi B for all of Cardi B's past and how Cardi B is. These brands, trust me, they're looking at what we're doing. We have the eyes and the ears of the people. We're right there. And it's because we're right there with them.
I love the time that we spent together. I know we are limited in the time that we have left. So I want to talk about the future, because you've been dropping gems of like what's coming to future as far as marketing is concerned, what's coming to future as far as technology is concerned. Like, the future look dope right now. The future look like we having flying cars. It look like The Fifth Element. And so that's actually my favorite movie is The Fifth Element. And it looks like we're really like we're really pivoting and moving into the next era of digital everything. And so what does, as far as businesses are concerned, and like small businesses and medium business, like how can we utilize what's coming now instead of getting on the tail end when it's already past us?
Well, I'm huge on teaching about virtual reality. Virtual events is something that I've really just jumped in with both feet. It's something that I'll be teaching about soon. So I can just tell you what I'm doing, right? Because there's a lot of different things that you can do. Um, a while ago, people would be like, "Oh, you're a leader," and I've always shunned away from that. I'm an example. If I'm an example, it's easier for you to see what I'm doing and take from that than to try to follow behind just what I'm telling you to do. So this is the second time I'm saying this publicly. I have acquired, yes, so you're getting exclusive because I did this only on Courtney's Live. So I haven't even announced this on my page. I've not announced this to my followers. So you're getting something that's very exclusive. I have secured the Black Virtual Mall. I am building a virtual mall, meaning the interface, when you come up to the screen, it will look like a futuristic mall. It will actually allow you to enter with the fly-in feature. So when you touch enter, so it's like The Sims. You will see animated people. I actually have something up like that already right now, but you'll see animated people walking around outside of it. You'll enter and there'll be animated people inside of the virtual mall. This mall will also include a movie theater, which independent artists will be able to rent out. If you're a comedian or a spoken word artist or whatever, you'll be able to rent out this movie theater and showcase your work. There's also a private lounge, so it's capable for 50 people soon, and private chat. So let's suppose you did do a concert and you wanted to take some of your VIP guests up for a private video chat. You could do that. Or if you had a product launch, you wanted to have a focus group, you could actually utilize that room. The virtual mall will also have a food court, and it will be all Black owned businesses that are on Uber Eats and DoorDash and things like that. So you'll be able to go to the food court, you'll go up to their virtual booth, a video pops up, and it's like a customer service video. They'll be able to tell you who they are, what specials they have, what's on the menu. You will interact with their food court, their little booth, and you'll be able to click DoorDash or Uber Eats or whatever it is, and then you'd be able to order right then and there. There will be a kiosk floor in the virtual mall with booths, and then of course there'll be shops. And when you go to those shops again, you're able to actually interact with the booth and get videos and everything. And so businesses will be able to rent out space at my virtual booth, my virtual mall. So now I'm doing real digital real estate. So then I'll be making other malls that are specialty malls. So one mall will be all beauty brands of Black owned businesses, the entire mall. So when you're like, oh, I want to get some beauty products, Black owned, there's a Black owned mall, a beauty mall that you can interface with. There'll be a legal mall, copyright, family law, trademark, right? And then these will come together into one form, which will be my mega mall. So you'll be able to access these specializations and these hyper niche. So it's what we're doing with Amazon. It just has a better interaction, right? So not the web pages where it's like, click this, click that. If there's a book I want you to buy, there's a bookshelf. You'll click the bookshelf and you'll engage with that product. What I want people to understand is that I'm actually dealing with some architects who do real renderings, right, for futuristic buildings for this, okay? But I ain't paying to build a whole building, but I have virtual real estate. You're unlimited. So think Ready Player One. So with your business now, this is where you need to take it, is that condition yourself that we're in the home. And how can I make your virtual experience as close to what you're missing about the real world as possible? So I have a subscription-based box service. In other words, say you featured your your movie at the movie theater, you could send a box in advance of that movie screening with popcorn to your guests. And so now everyone's there and they can have popcorn while we watch the movie together. So now we're doing multi-sensory engagement. It's a term that I call interimmersive that I've coined, where you're bringing the sensory into the virtual. So with my event, I think you came to my event. There was a DJ, I'm not sure. There was a box, and in that box you had businesses that you taste, you touch, you smell. You had lunch sent to your home for my virtual event, and liquor and drinks. So now guess what? We're doing those things because we're multi-sensory creatures. Do it. So it's not just you showing it the right way. That's not going to cut it. Okay. You got to do a little bit more. And I'm teaching how to do that for free. So you can have an interesting event without all that money and all that budget either. With no money, and still give people an experience. So that's what I would suggest for people to look to in the future. You're unlimited. If you want a mall, you can create a mall. If you want to create a restaurant hub, don't just think Uber Eats. Think about creating where there's little booths and each person has their little restaurant. You know what I mean? You could create a building, a food court, whatever it is that you want to create. You can create a mechanic stop. And you can say, hey, if you're looking for mechanics, and then you actually have, if you're looking for parts or service or right, and create space that people can rent from you, and you have actual digital real estate.
AKAnundrum, I thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. I am going to personally spend some time with you so we can, you said you don't do coaching, you do...
No, the strategy call, when you call. Now, if you call me, personally, if you text me, you say, hey, sis, if you have, a few minutes or whatever, we can just talk and chop it up, and say, hey, this is what I'm doing, or what do you think about this? That just keeps me sharp and keeps me focused. All I ask is this, people text, because if they call, I'm not always able to call, and I don't like for people to think that I'm being all extra Hollywood on them. So, just text, and then we carve out some time. But yeah.
So for those who do not know, how do we follow you? How do we get to the website? How do you have an entire app? How we want to go to the virtual mall? How do we be a part of the virtual, like all of that? How do we everything you?
Everything I'm consistent is AKAnundrum. Instagram AKAnundrum. Facebook is AKAnundrum. My app is AKAnundrum. It's in the App Store. It's in the Google Play Store, AKAnundrum. My store is Shop AKAnundrum. I just have a link tree, so it's AKAnundrum.com, and the link tree, I update it with everything that I have going on. So if there's an event, that's going to be at the top. If there's a sale, that's going to be at the top of the link tree. So AKAnundrum.com is there for that. So everything that I have going on, you can pretty much get it there. But in the app, yeah, everywhere it's the same, it's consistent.
Everything. Well, I thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time. I would like for you, so we've come to the top of the hour, but I would like for you to stay on while we end the live. I am Tayla Andre, everything Tayla Andre, TaylaAndre. Finally Home. The book is on the website. 3 ways you can shop. And thank you to AKAnundrum because it's currently on Walmart Marketplace.
Yes, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you.
That was you. I had no idea about nothing until you posted it. And literally the way I was able to get through Walmart Marketplace was from an Instagram post. It was just swipe to the left a couple times and step by step on how to get on Walmart Marketplace. That was you, my love.
And then there was an application process. So don't sleep on that, because you had to go through and you had to be legitimate and have all your ducks in a row. You know what I mean? So you had that part already together, or you wouldn't have been qualified, So
you were right. And that was because I learned Dunn's number from you. I learned about the bank account and what you need to set up for your credit cards, like all of that. You are literally my virtual mentor, and you have no idea how much you impacted my life. So I thank you more than words can give.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for having me. Thank you. And then, like I said, it was so much going on. I'm like, and as soon as you text, I was like, yes, let's go. I was like, let's do it. Let's do it. So yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely welcome. So you guys know Spark FM Online, owned by a Black woman. She has her show right before the Wake Up with Tayla Andre show, Saucy and Friends from 8 to 11, Waking Up with Tayla Andre from 11 to 1. Today is my birthday, so as soon as AKAnundrum and I are done talking, I am out of the building and I'm about to go get my summertime fine on at the waterfront. And so I thank you all for your time with us here. Do not forget, everything is AKANUNDRUM, and that's everywhere. All you got to do is Google it. You will find everything. And so again, I thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Mwah.